Hi, Grandin here, Luthier Guitar Tech in Indianapolis. I am Martin certified. A pretty common repair on an acoustic guitar is a bridge reset. So what happens is as the guitar ages, some changes in temperature and humidity happen, that kind of thing. The back of the bridge starts to lift off, and a lot of times I get them that are worse than this. This one's just kind of starting. It's a 71 Martin 00018. So he just wants it taken care of right now. I think he recently acquired this one. The other issue here is that the pickguard is long gone. And there, I got the light just right. You can see where there's, the pickguard was taken off. And I think the pickguard that was on here wasn't even the original, that some of the spruce lifted up. So we're gonna cut some spruce pieces to fit in there. Then I gotta get rid of all this old adhesive, and then we'll put a new pickguard on. But for now, it might be a little hard to see there. The bridge is just starting to lift, and he wants it taken care of now rather than waiting for it to get worse. So the couple things I'm going to, first I have a piece of cardboard. This is like the piece of cardboard that comes on the back of a legal tablet, and I'm just going to place that, let's swing the camera down. I'm going to place that on the guitar around the bridge just to protect the top of the guitar as I'm working, okay? The other thing I have here is a digital thermometer, and we're going to be using this. And then I have my controller for my heat pad, and this allows me to variable set the temperature and control the heat for this silicone heating pad. And then, oh, I thought I had it. I got a big block of iron. Hang on. All right, sorry about that. I had to get the last of my tools that I didn't have ready. So I've got this big block of it's just a piece of either cast steel or cast iron. I think it's cast steel that's been, made into a block. This just to put wet pressure on there. And I have a small palette knife and then the big palette knife for doing this kind of work. And everything's here ready to go. So what I'm going to do is we'll plug this in first to my controller. I'm going to set this piece across the bridge towards the back, right centered first, and both directions centered. One other thing I forgot, hang on. All right, we're gonna put the bridge clamping thing. I also like to put these on to hold the heating pad down. Okay. Then I'm going to put my thermometer in here. Now I'm going to lower the ends just so that they're, I'm getting pressure on the ends as well. I'm going to put this on here, and I'm going to put this for right between low and medium and turn it on variable. And then you probably can't see it here, but the temperature is already starting to climb. Now we're up to 70, 71, 72, 70. Typically these glues, depending on the glue used and the age of the instrument and the condition of the glue joint, the glue will start to let go typically between about 120 to 140, worst case 160 degrees. And I'm just going to keep an eye on it with the thermometer, checking it like every 5 minutes or so. And then if it needs to be turned up, in other words, if it gets to 120 and stays there, and after about 10 minutes the glue really isn't coming loose, I'll turn it up a little and check it again and check it again. Some of these come off in a couple minutes. Others could take a little longer to come off. And again, that can depend on the glue used and how much has already started to separate. So I've got this going. And this thing turns off, and I have to just do that again and pop it in there. And so now we're up to, it says we're up to 105, 101, about 110. So we'll just watch this, keep an eye on it. We'll come back in a few minutes and see where we are. All right, let's check in on this 00018. Just need to get everything out of the way here. And again, the reason for the cardboard is to, like if this thing were to fall over, this would protect the top. So I'm gonna leave the clamper on there, but well, let's go ahead and take it off. And let's just see. Now I was working the knife a little bit with everything on there, so I'm able to get underneath the corners here pretty well. And the glue is feeling pretty soft. So we're getting really close here. I can almost go all the way under And again, you don't want to force this, and you got to develop a feel for if the knife might be digging into the top. That side's not as loose. Oh, that one just went all the way under over there. There we go. So we're all the way under over there. Now, sometimes on some of these bridges, when you get the knife to about on these spots, it won't want to. It seems like it doesn't want to go any further. A lot of these bridges have a little locator. Typically, they're nylon locator pins that help line up the bridge when they're gluing it on at the factory. You just got to kind of work around those. I'm going to go at this from a couple other angles here. But I think it might need just a little more heat. A little bit longer because the glue on this side is not quite as soft. And I don't want to force the knife in there, so we're going to let that get a little more heat for a little longer. Okay, and I'm going to move everything up towards the front to get more over where it's loose, because the entire back section is loose. So just a little more heat. I'm going to check the temperature, and we'll come back in a few more minutes. All right, let this thing heat for a little while. So I think we're ready to get it off. I'm just going to test it in a few more spots. Now, as you mentioned before, over here, we're all the way through. The knife comes through, just in the middle. Feeling good there. Whoop, there we go. We're all the way through. Just going to work at it from every side here, carefully. That just went through. Move over a little bit at a time. We're through there. That's good. I move about 1/8 of an inch each time here. Good there. Good there. We're almost off. A couple of tight spots. There we go. That came all the way through. And I think we're off. I don't want to pull up too quick. There's a spot there that's caught, so let's work that. It's just a piece of sticky glue. There we have it. The bridge is off. Now all I have to do is clean this surface up, clean this one up on the bottom of the bridge, and then we'll glue it back in place. So check back when we're ready to do that. All right, following up on the bridge reset on this 71 Martin. I think it was a 71. So I've got the bridge off. What I'm now going to do is just tape off around the bridge. There, you see the method to my madness here in just a second. What I want to do is get the exact outline of the bridge so I can sand and get all that old glue off down to bare wood, but I don't want to get into the top of the guitar. So we're just going to masking tape, blue tape over the areas that need. Where's the edge? So I'm going in about 1/4 of an inch from the edge of the footprint. And now what I'm going to do, if they're in here, nope, I've got some over here. Okay, we're going to set the bridge in place. Put some bridge pins in to hold it. Sometimes I have some larger pins that are going to give me a little more of a grip. There's one of those larger ones on the end. There we go. That tightened it up. There's another one of the large ones. And one more just for fun. All right, now the bridge is nice and secure. So what I'm going to do is go around it now with an X-Acto knife very carefully. I'm looking to do two things. I want to cut the tape, but I'm also looking, I'll go over it a second time, to just barely score the finish, because more often than not, there's a little bit of finish that got underneath the edges of the bridge, and I want to get all that done too. So the secret to a lot of this is go slow, take your time, don't be in a hurry. All right, so I'm just going to very, very carefully score the tape around the footprint of the bridge. I'm not going past it. I'm stopping at the corners. Do the two sides. Now this edge here. I'm going to go around it just one more time. Again, I'm not using a lot of pressure. I'm just trying to cut the tape and to not cut through the finish, but just score the top of the finish. It'll give me, in the physics mechanics world, what's known as a stress riser. When I go to chip, get the rest of that finish off, corners nice and clean. Okay, now I can remove the bridge. A couple of these are snug. Just pop them up, take the whole bridge up. Okay. Push those out. All right, now, again, carefully, fill up my tape. Now I have, whoops, a little bit of it stayed. There, now I have the exact footprint of the bridge, and as you can see, the darker spots, that's where there's still glue residue or a little bit of finish, mostly glue residue on this one. So we're just going to sand that off. I'm going to get my smaller sanding block and we'll come back for that process. just a couple of spots here that were a little bit of finish, just about a less than a 1/16 of an inch under the edge. But I want the most important spot, really, if you're gonna, you know, not get the best cleaning done, you want to make sure this back edge, because that's where they first separate. So I want a really good tight glue joint right there. I want full wood to wood. So I'm just touching those areas up with my one of my micro chisels here, a little bit at a time. And I'm not in a hurry. Just want to make sure I get all bare wood to bare wood. When I finish this up, then we're going to go do getting the glue off the bottom of the bridge. This is looking pretty good. Yep, got all that shiny gone, all that dark color gone. So all of the original glue has been removed. All right, now all I have to do is go clean up the bottom of the bridge. Let's go over and get that going. All right, now to get the glue off the bottom of the bridge, my process, I made this little tool out of a block of just some hard pine, put a couple of dowels in it, and those dowels will line up with the bridge pin holes, so that gives me something to hang on to. I've got a piece of about an 18-inch or 20-inch long piece of over an inch thick granite that's leveled, and I've got 120 grit paper stuck to it. Sometimes I do 220, depends what I'm doing. So all I have to do is pop this in there and back and forth. Across the 100 grit paper, and I'll just check it every now and then. It may be a little hard to see here, but there's still a shiny spot there behind the bridge pin, so that's still got to get some glue. Now what I can do is I can flip this around so that there's more pressure on that end. And I also try to push down with the heel of my hand and my fingers on the extensions of the bridge. So this allows me to remove all the glue residue, and it also ensures that if needed, the bottom of the bridge is perfectly flat and level, and that's fine on this guitar, because on this guitar the top is where it's going to be glued down. We've already leveled that, and it was leveled to start with. Sometimes you get some tops with a little bit of a belly, and then there you got to sand them. You got to move a little bit from the middle, but. That's it. I can stop right there. I have gotten rid of all the glue. There's no more shiny surfaces. So we are done with this. All I have to do now is vacuum that up, and we'll glue this on. All right, one of the other things I'm dealing with on this old Martin is that the pickguard is gone. There's a spot right here that may be hard to see where some of the spruce has been pulled up. I've got some spruce, just small pieces on orders where I can fill that in. But at one point, I don't know if it was the original pickguard or a different one, they think it was probably an aftermarket, where it peeled off, and that's probably where it took the bit of the top with it, is there's still a bunch of glue residue. Now it's not a lot of it, it's mostly, there's a good bit right here, mostly right around the edges. And a lot of times you can use heat to get rid of glue like this, but because it's right next to the finish, and I really don't want to do that, the simplest thing is to just roll at it with my thumb. And yeah, my thumb may get a little sore after a while, but you can see it's just coming right up if I do that, right down to the bare wood. And by running my thumb over it too, I am generating a little bit of heat from friction, which is helping to soften the glue up. And it is rolling right off. Fortunately, this is working. Yeah, where there's more of it, yeah, my thumbs are gonna get a little sore, but I'm a bass player, I got calluses, right? And I may even have to go add a little bit of this with my micro chisels right at the edges before I cut a new pickguard blank to fit. And I actually need to check with the customer to see if he wants black or tortoise shell or some other crazy color, but I suspect it's probably going to be one of those two, black or tortoise. But all this glue is coming right off fairly easily, even right up to the edge of the finish. It's interesting to me that the pickguard, you know, was on the bare wood and not on the finish. That's just interesting. Anyway, so this is working quite well, getting all this off. And then I'll tape around the edges and then do a little bit of light sanding after I go through with my micro chisels. And I can switch thumbs too so that one doesn't get too sore. Not enough here to give me a blister, so. All right, we'll get all that cleaned up, and then once the spruce pieces, patching pieces I ordered come in, we'll go ahead and get some of those in there. That and the new pickguard. But again, just the friction of the heat and friction of my thumbs is getting all that excess glue off of there, no problem. So I'm really suspicious that was an aftermarket pickguard, which is what we're gonna have to go with. All right, we'll come back when I'm gluing in that piece of spruce. All right, what I'm working on today is I've got some spruce for putting some patches and a little bit of tear out on this Martin guitar where somebody pulled the pickguard off and it tore a little bit of the wood out. So the spruce patching what I bought was about 8 inches by 4 inches, and each one was over 1/8 of an inch thick, so I'm thinning a couple of strips down to be able to make patches. So I've got my big 16-inch wide drum sander. I've already taken one swipe. I'm just going to lower it about a 64th of an inch at a time, or a 32nd, and take another swipe. So a half a turn equals a 32nd. Turn on the belt, turn on the sander, let's go. Probably getting close. And also for me, even with the softer woods, when I run them through my drum sander, if I can, I like to run the wood at an angle to the sander. That way it's not all hitting the same spot on my sanding belt, which, you know, it's a pretty big sanding belt, but again, I want to spread the wear on the belt out as much as I can. I'm going to take another 64th off of this. Run them through again. Oh, I think that's perfect. I'm going to turn off the dust collector. I'm going to go see how these fit. Alright, so I've got my thinned out pieces cut. And this one, it may be hard to see on this camera, but there's a spot right here where when they pulled the pickguard off, it tore some wood with it. This wood here is actually still a little loose. So I'm going to have to trim the width just to... Oh, what to do with my pencil? There it is. So I'm going to notch this, or make a mark on it, to know that I need to trim a little bit off there, come up to here, and it's going to go out. Hey guys, dogs are popping around the shop. And I can cut it right about here. And I'll just glue the whole thing in. Now, even though the tear out is at a bit of an angle, if I glue this all in, then all I have to do once it's dried is come back with the sanding block and level it down. I've also got two little spots on the bridge that are very, very small where the bridge had a little tear out. I'm going to cut a couple of pieces as well to glue some spruce in there just to make sure, you know, I mean, the back edge is perfect tight, but I just want to fill those so I don't have a glue gap there, all right? Might as well do it all while I'm here. Once I have this done and the pickguard on, and I've got to cut a, pickguard and glue it on. I'm probably gonna seal this up with some shellac first before I put that pickguard on, and then we'll get the bridges off. It's all cleaned up and ready to go. We'll glue that back on. So just gonna very carefully trim this piece of wood, and then we're gonna glue it in. All right, I've got my piece cut. I made a couple little steps in it to match where it did a little jagged tear, and it fits in there just beautifully. And again, this end sticks up a little bit, but I'm gonna move the camera, but I'll just take a sanding block to when it's glued in to make sure everything's flush and level. All right, so I'm gonna get a little bit of glue. There's no brace there that I have to worry about clamping against, so I'll just get a clamp and we'll put this in. Okay. Take two. I've got this piece all trimmed up exactly how I want it to fit in. Checking my fit. It's perfect, just like a jigsaw puzzle. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the bottom back side of this wood piece I've cut. I don't need a lot of glue. This is, I'm not even that concerned about glue squeeze out like I would be on most of my joints. I don't really need any kind of glue squeeze out. Keep my fingers clean here. I just need enough glue to tack this down and hold it in place. I want it to be strong, but it's not necessarily a structural thing, okay? And again, I put glue on the wood instead of the top so I can see exactly where I'm positioning it, okay? So I'm just gonna press it into place. Now I've got a piece of Teflon and a wooden block I'm gonna put over it. Got my clamp all ready to go. Reposition the Teflon, there we go. And just like that, it's glued in place, okay? Now when that one's done, I'm gonna cut two pieces to fit in. I had a little bit of tear out there on where the bridge came off. They're real small, but I'm gonna fill them anyway. So I'm just gonna leave these cut pieces with the guitar, set it off to the side. Later on today, I'll go ahead, that'll set up pretty quick. I'll go ahead and block sand it down, glue these other, one at a time, and then probably the next day or two, we'll get before the end of the week, I'll get the pickguard cut. And again, I'm gonna put some shellac on this, just to seal the wood a little bit, some shellac or some sanding sealer before I glue that back on, and then we'll glue the bridge on. So see you a little bit later. All right, the piece that I glued in here underneath this pickguard on this old Martin, I was doing a bridge reset as well, but I want to get the pickguard done first. The clamp came off, it's glued in perfectly. Just now I'm using a good sharp chisel. I got the two cherries here to just very carefully get this down to the level of the wood around it. I'm going very slowly, very carefully. I don't want to take too much wood off. I just want to get this down as level as I can with the wood of the top. And yes, when I'm done, I will go over it with some real fine sandpaper just to make sure that lip's still a little high there. Just want to make sure the edges feel, there's no lip there. I think that's really good, okay? And that was all that was involved with that. I did give the chisels a quick hand sharpen before I started. And I'm just gonna hit this with a block and a little bit of light sanding. And then I've got two options here. I've got a pre-cut pickguard. We'll see if it lines up. It was pretty inexpensive, but if not, I have a whole blank here. I can hand cut one. So let's get this cleaned up and see if we're ready to put this pickguard on. I'm going to do a little, like I said, I'll vacuum this off, and then we'll do a little bit of block sanding after. Here we go. Get a block. being careful to stay inside the area for the, don't want to go onto the finish around the pickguard. I just want to do the pickguard area. This is just some 220 pressure sensitive PSA sandpaper. It's just sandpaper that's got a adhesive back. PSA is pressure sensitive adhesive. Then I'm up on the edge here to get up there. That's good. This is just the kind of work that it's very enjoyable to do. And the trick is to go slow. If you get too greedy too fast, you will create a big problem. And I've done it, where I've gotten going too quick, and I've created a big problem that I had to fix. And it was always very time consuming, and I could not charge the customer for my mistake. You know, I got to make it right. And again, you're gonna, if you were to paint over this, you'd see it, but the idea is just to fill it in underneath the pickguard to give it a solid flat surface for the pickguard to stick to. All right, I think we're just gonna go over that with a tack rag and start working to put the pickguard on. All right, getting down to the last operations here on this old 70s Martin, and getting ready to do the bridge reset. Now, earlier we talked about, and I got ready to put the pickguard on, and I went ahead and made a pickguard and carefully cut it all out. And believe it or not, I actually had it attached. And then right after I had it attached, I found the original a pickguard that came with the guitar that was stuck on the inside of the case, and I didn't see it earlier. And the back of it was an absolute mess. However, with some elbow grease and some rubber gloves and a bunch of Goo Gone and then rubbing alcohol, I got all the old adhesive off the back of it, cleaned it up, and I've got some super thin double-sided adhesive tape that's about 2 inches wide, and we were able to put that on the back of the pickguard with no bubbles and get it reattached. So that is done. Now what I'm going to do is the bridge glue. And with this one, the way I used to line my bridges up if they don't have a locator pin is I've got bridge pins of varying sizes. Some are thicker than others, and I've cut the heads off. So what I do is put those in 2 of the holes, and with the tops cut off, they're flush so that when I clamp it, they're not in the way. Now on this one, though, the bracing on this smaller body guitar is right next to these 2 end holes. So for me to be able to get my clamps in there, I actually need to put these in the A and the B string holes, okay? So that's where they're gonna go. Now, I've got my clamps all ready. And what I've done with my clamps is taken a small block of plywood, some high quality plywood, and glued it on there, bottom of the clamp with some double-sided tape, and then I've got some Teflon on the top with thinner double-sided tape to protect it. And this is so that my clamps don't rub against any of the bracing or clamp down on any of the bracing, okay? I've already done a dry fit. I'll go through it though here. I get the bridge in place. I put the bridge clamping thing on, and then I make sure that I can quickly and easily locate my clamps and have them the right height. I don't want to spend a minute trying to crank those down. So I've got the height on that one set. Let's double check the height on this one. Teflon back on there, okay. Right there, perfect. That looks really good, okay. All right, so now all I need to do is have that ready to go. I've got off, you can't see it off camera here, is a small Tupperware container with my clean, wet, now wrung out and damp cotton cloth. I've got 5 or 6 paper towels ready to go. I've got my palette knife to scrape up any extra glue squeeze out. So let's go ahead and pop the bridge up. Get some glue on it, and then we'll put some glue on the top. Nothing like a brand new bottle of wood glue. I don't have to squeeze forever to get it to come out. It's right there ready to go. Now I'm going to put some on the bridge as well. Okay, now use my glue brush. Spread that glue around on the bridge. And get to all the surfaces. The bridge is well covered. Now we'll do the top. And I am moving from the inside out. Okay, I don't know that it matters, but okay. Now I'm not worried about glue getting in the pinholes. That's all going to be, we'll drill that out and ream it out when we're done. Okay, so I'm going to set my glue brush in my water so I can clean it out later. Get the bridge set down. Now for my first excess glue wipe out, I'm going to do it just with hand pressure, just to get up the bulk of this excess glue right now while it's nice and viscous and easy to work with. Maybe multiple times we'll do this, but I'm doing the first one right now. Again, when the glue is very viscous, as in low viscosity, or high viscosity, which I can't remember which way now, okay? Because the more glue I have to clean up now, should have to do any when the clamps come off. That's, the rule of law. Okay, good. Now we're going to put the bridge clamp on and put some clamping pressure on it. Now my bridge clamp is not exactly centered. Let's get it centered. There we go. There we go. Okay. Okay, now the other one. Oh. Clamp popped up. There we go. We're starting to see some glue squeeze out. Very good. I need to back this one up a little. Realign the clamp. There we go. Perfect. This one just a little bit of a realign. There we go. Shazam. Okay, now I'm going to put a little pressure on the wings as well. You see some glue squeeze out there. Okay, let's go after that stuff. As I may have mentioned before with these kind of operations, is you don't want to get all the glue out, because you're going to want to leave a little bit there that you can see coming out, because as the glue dries, it's going to shrink back in underneath, and you don't want it to shrink back in away from the edge, okay? So it's a little bit, you want to leave a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to put a little more clamping pressure on it. Or just to get a little more squeeze out going. like it. Okay. Now I'm just going to run a little run past it with the palette knife. Scrape up any. Now there's a special spot I'm going to use this in just a minute, which is underneath the wings. That looks good. Okay, now we're going to use the damp rag for the final cleanup. I'm going to put the knife inside the rag and then run it underneath that wing, just to make sure I get all that glue out of there. Just a little bit, okay. One more time, a double layer, I think. Get up against the, that's good. On this side, yep. Again, I'm going to continue to see glue come out, but it's a matter of knowing when to stop. That I want to leave a little bit of glue there so that it doesn't shrink back in and cause a stress riser or a glue starved joint. Looking good. All right, now I'm actually going to stop there and get all that water off with the paper towel. Not much, it's just a little damp, but on this old finish, I don't want that water to sit there. All right, now it's just a matter of giving it time. Okay? Now there's a little fleck of something right there. Got it. Okay. All right, we're good. Set this one aside. Now I like to sit with the clamps on for 24 hours and then take the clamps off and let it rest for another 24 before I do the final stringing up. All right, we'll come back when the clamps are off and we're ready to put it back together. All right, continuing on with this new pickguard and the bridge reset on this old Martin. Unfortunately, that pickguard that came with it, and I don't think it was the original, it did not want to stay stuck at all just because the pickguard was warped. It had a cup to it. So I went ahead and made another one out of new pickguard material and popped it on there using the original as a pattern. Put the other one back in the case. And I have drilled out the glue. There was just some glue in there from glue in the bridge, so I've drilled that out with a bit smaller than the holes, and now just using a reamer. Whoops, wrong one. All right, we're just going to go in and ream those holes out just to get rid of any of the extra glue that's in the holes. Just a couple quick turns. If it's not enough, I can always come back and do some more, but I don't want to go too far. It's just a matter of cleaning out those holes and giving them a nice smooth finish with a good sharp reamer. Now, unfortunately, also somebody has cut slots into the bridge, so that's just all part of dealing with it. All right, now, well, I think they're in the hole. So now we'll just put the saddle in, do a quick polish on the front oil, the fingerboard, and get it all set up. We'll come back when I have that all done and see how it looks. All right, here's the 71 Martin. All bridge is all reset. Looking really good. New pickguard is made and on. Frets are polished, fingerboard is oiled. No, I didn't do a setup. And of course, as you can see, looking at the bridge, the saddle has been taken down and taken down and taken down. It can't go down any lower. So this guitar really, to keep it playing its best, does need a neck reset. The action's not too bad, probably what I would consider medium action. But they have just, at this point, they have declined a neck reset, just the bridge reset, and then the new pickguard is all they wanted to do. has the original case that's over there on one of my humidifiers. So this one is ready to go. Whoops, sorry. This one is all ready to go, and we'll get it boxed up and sent back. See you next time.